What up, guys? This is Luke, and I'm going to take you over our Curious George fun adventure we did for this Rube Goldberg project. Took us about 2 weeks of hard labor work. It was a tough one, probably the toughest project I've ever done. A lot of, things that went wrong, a lot of things that didn't go good. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we finally got our final thing complete today. And I'm gonna take you over how it went, and we're gonna go over our final video, and then we are gonna go over slow motion videos explaining each step. And then at the end, Elisa's gonna give you guys, read you guys a book, a Curious George book, kind of showing you guys the background of the project that we did. We have about 13 steps on ours, and it's a fun one. Let's jump right into it. Now that's what I'm talking about. Let's watch it back in slow-mo. Watch out for Lisa screaming right here. She's a struggle. Let's watch it from this angle.
I am hold on. Let me get a better angle.
Luke, get close. Like, zoom into it.
Okay. Lisa, please shut up.
Follow it.
And don't trip on the hammer.
Alright.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Man, I have so much aura, don't I?
Alright, you guys, so our first step is when George is in his apartment and he's trying to escape to go on his little adventure. So it starts with George, and he's on a skateboard, and he rolls down an inclined plane. Now this shows rotational motion, gravitational potential energy, kinetic energy, an inclined plane, a wheel and axle, Newton's laws, and work and force. When George is pushed down an inclined plane on the skateboard, the applied force from the push shows Newton's second and third law by creating an unbalanced force that causes him to accelerate down the ramp. The ramp acts as an inclined plane, which is a simple machine that helps objects move downward with gravity that pulls them down the slope. At the top of the ramp, George has gravitational potential energy because of his height. But as he rolls down, the energy changes into kinetic energy, both translational kinetic energy and rotational potential energy, because of the wheels rolling. The wheels are also a wheel and axle, which help him roll smoothly and gain speed because it reduces friction, and work is done because a force moves George over a distance. Our second step is when George, after he rolls down the inclined plane, he hits the dominoes and he causes them to topple over. Now this uses momentum, collision, kinetic energy, Newton's laws, gravity, and conservation of energy. When George crashes into the dominoes, his momentum transfers into the first domino and starts a chain reaction. The dominoes show Newton's first law because they stay still until a force acts on them. As each domino falls, kinetic energy transfers into the next domino, causing it to tip over. Energy is conserved throughout the chain reaction because the energy from George's motion is being transferred through the dominoes. Gravity helps pull each domino downward with the force once they start tipping. Then our third step is that the dominoes fall over and trigger a mousetrap that pulls a string with a metal cylinder on the end out of the 3 metal screw eyes. This uses conservation of energy, work and force, torque, a lever, and elastic potential energy. The last falling domino triggers the mousetrap, which has stored elastic potential energy in its compressed spring. When released, the spring quickly snaps shut and converts elastic potential energy into kinetic energy. The mousetrap pulls on the string using tension force, which transfers energy through and removes the metal cylinder from the screw eyes. The mousetrap does work because it applies force over a distance while moving the string. Newton's second law is shown because the force from the trap causes the string and the cylinder to accelerate. Conservation of energy is shown because the stored spring energy changes into motion.
Step 4. The metal-ended string releases the catapult arm that flies and launches the ball. This uses rotational motion, torque lever, kinetic energy, conservation of energy, and inertia. When the string releases, the catapult arm swings upward around a pivot point like a lever. Torque causes the arm to rotate quickly and launches the ball forward. Energy stored in the catapult changes into kinetic energy as the ball is launched. Once the ball is in the air, gravity pulls it downward while inertia keeps it moving forward. This shows conservation of energy because energy is transferred from the catapult into the ball, causing it to move forward. Step 5. The ball launches and hits a plastic cup that holds paint. This uses momentum, collision, and work and force. As the ball travels through the air, gravity pulls it down while inertia keeps it moving forward towards the cup. While the ball collides with the cup, momentum transfers into the cup and knocks it over. The collision creates an unbalanced force that is strong enough to move the cup. Work is done because the force from the ball causes the cup to move. Step 6. The cup falls over, triggering a mousetrap that pulls a rubber band connected to a weight. This uses gravitational potential energy, elastic potential energy, work and force, and torque lever. As the cup falls over, gravitational potential energy changes into kinetic energy. The falling cup triggers another mousetrap, which acts like a lever because it rotates around a pivot point. The spring inside the trap stores elastic potential energy, and when released, the trap creates torque that causes the arm to snap quickly. The mousetrap pulls on the rubber band and transfers energy to the weight that is connected. Work is done because the trap applied force while pulling the string. Step 7. The string pulls off the weight on the platform. This uses gravity, Newton's laws, work and force, and tension force. The tension in the string creates an unbalanced force that pulls the weight off the platform. Newton's first law explains that the weight stays at rest until the string applies enough force to move it. Once the weight is no longer being supported by the platform, gravity begins pulling it downward with force. The weight accelerates downward because of the unbalanced gravitational force acting on it. Work is done because gravity causes the weight to move downward over a distance. Conservation of energy is also shown because the weight's gravitational potential energy changes into kinetic energy as it falls.
Okay, so for steps 8, 9, and 10. So for step 8, as the weight falls, its gravitational potential energy changes into kinetic energy. The falling weight creates tension in the string, which transfers force through the pulley system. The pulley acts as a simple machine because it changes the direction of force and lifting the ball easier. Newton's second law shows that the unbalanced force from the falling weight causes acceleration throughout the pulley. Conservation of energy is shown because the energy from the falling weight transfers to make George move upward. Some energy is lost because of the friction from the pulley, wheels, and string. For step 9, when the platform suddenly stops the box, the ball continues moving because of inertia, which follows Newton's first law of motion. The ball does work and applies force to the skateboard, causing it to roll down another inclined plane due to gravity pulling it downward. As it rolls, gravitational potential energy changes into kinetic energy. The wheels rotate, showing rotational motion in wheels and axles. Friction between the wheels and the surface slightly slows the skateboard, but also helps prevent it from slipping. Conservation of energy is shown because energy changes from throughout the step. For step 10, after leaving the ramp, the skateboard continues moving across the flat surface because of inertia. Newton's first law explains that it will be moving until another force acts on it. Frictions between the wheels and the ground slowly reduces the skateboard's speed over time by converting some kinetic energy. Then the moving skateboard will carries kinetic energy that can transfer into the ball ahead of it. Work is done as the skateboard applies force to objects in its path.
Ball is triggered by George's momentum rolling onto another inclined plane. Momentum, kinetic energy, inclined plane, rotational motion, conservation of energy. George's motion transfers momentum P equals mv into the ball, causing the ball to begin rolling forward. As the ball rolls down the inclined plane, gravity pulls it downwards and increases its speed. Gravitational potential energy changes into kinetic energy as the ball moves lower on the ramp. The ball also spins while rolling down, showing rotational motion while rolling forward. Conservation of energy is shown because the energy keeps changing from while going through the step. Friction helps the ball roll. Number 12. The ball hits the final George, causing him to fall down the zip line to the man. Momentum, gravity, tension, kinetic energy, conservation of energy. When the ball collides with George, I'm so sorry. It's trying to print something. When the ball collides with George, momentum transfers into the ball and creates an unbalanced force that causes him to begin moving. George is hanging on a ribbon zip line by paperclip hook that allows him to hang and slide down. As George slides down, the zip line gravitational potential energy changes into kinetic energy because gravity pulls him downward. The zip line creates tension that supports George but still allows him to move along the ribbon. Newton's second law shows that unbalanced force causes acceleration down the zip line. Conservation of energy is shown because energy transfers from the moving ball into George, which moves him. Some energy is lost because of friction between the paperclip and the ribbon. Number 13. George is reunited with the man in the yellow hat by a magnetic attraction. Magnetism and magnet force. At the end of the machine, magnets pull George towards the man in the yellow hat using magnetic force. Opposite magnet poles attract each other without needing to actually touch. This shows a non-contact force because the magnet interacts using magnetic field and not by actually touching. The magnets creates motion by pulling George towards the final target with opposite charges. Opposite attracts, which allows for George to connect to the yellow man, which is the other target magnet.
Hello. Welcome to our Rube Goldberg video. We are doing The Adventures of Curious George. And our group has Luke, me, which I'm Gabby, Elisa, that's Miss, and Nevaeh. Okay, so
She's
we
over
start
here.
off.
Don't even worry. Don't even stress.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
The story is about Curious George, and he's in his apartment, and he gets bored, so he wants to leave and
So
go on an adventure.
he gets curious.
He gets curious. So we're doing it right now. So he rolls down the ramp and he goes on his adventure and he escapes.
On a skateboard.
Yes, on a skateboard. He goes out of his apartment,
And then he hits some dominoes on his way out.
which are basically buildings because he's wreaking havoc in the city.
Oh yeah. And he's just so large and in charge that he just knocks him over.
Yes.
Which hits.
Which basically, then he goes to the dinosaur museum, which is shown as a catapult, but there's a dinosaur next to it. You'll see. And he goes and he's having a great time, but he kind of causes issues and breaks one of the dinosaurs because he causes issues.
And he's just too curious.
Yes. And then where does he go next, Elisa?
I don't know.
He goes to the art museum.
Oh,
and
there's a little painting.
There's a little painting, and it's like totally Van Gogh.
Yeah, straight from Van Gogh,
And
by the way.
he causes problems, and he knocks over a cup, and the cup throws paint all over the painting, and he causes a bunch of issues there. And then, where does he
The
go?
construction
He
site.
goes to the construction site.
So, basically, he just gets pulled up real quick in this pulley.
He goes on the ride in those little elevators.
Yeah, in the construction site.
Yeah. And then he decides to go to the playground. So he goes on a little slide. But it's a ramp. But it's a slide in your brain.
But then he gets bored of the slide and he goes to find a ball and he just hits that ball real quick.
It's the ball. And
And then he got bored from the ball, so he follows the ball and then
the ball goes to a building, and the building has a zip line on it.
which
and
pushes him off of the zip line.
And he goes on a journey down said zip line.
But guess who's at the bottom? Guess. Just take a guess.
Just take a guess.
Just take a guess. Man in the yellow hat.
Dude, and they reunite. And
Yeah.
it's happily ever after.
And you knew that, so boom.
So boom.
Thank you.
And that's on Dairy.
I hope you enjoy
That's our story
machine.
time.